Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today we're looking at the Mobile Command Center. So, uh, looking here on yocho.com, and again, because of all the extra ads, I kind of put it into a Word document, but this is where all of it's coming from anyway. Um, so, this is a Series 6 vehicle from 1987. It was first released in 87. It included the driver's steamroller. The command center was also sold in 89 or 88 and was discontinued in 89. So we do have a picture of Steamroller here, and he was first released in the 6 series of uh, the G.I. Joe vehicles and all that. He came with the mobile command center itself, and he was, 88 and 89 in with the boxed set. So, kind of getting in here with the images, and we'll kind of forward over here. All right, so as we look at the pictures, we have a nice front view, and then we have our rear view here showing off the missiles. And then we also have our side views as we go through, and then we get our isometric views after our top view. Now, we do have a panel here that kind of comes out, and we will see this here in a minute. So when I'm trying to come up with stats for all this, it's one of those things I'm trying to kind of keep in mind here. Now, the hardest thing is trying to take a toy like this and put it into our series and try to figure out exactly how big this should be. So we do have room in here for easily two figures, three figures, one, two, three figures, and almost looks like we could have room for a couple more here as well. These are listed as, I believe, 50 caliber machine guns. So keep that in mind as well. Now, this was one of the cool parts, and really what kind of makes this so iconic in so many ways is we actually have a vehicle bay here. Um, so the real question starts coming in: how big of a vehicle are you going to have in here, especially when I get into our stats here? Um, and then, of course, we have our second floor. We have beds, lockers, equipment lockers, all that stuff in here, which really makes this cool and interesting. And then we have our top floor here, and we have another missile launcher that I was kind of referring to before. And you can see how it kind of steps up. But all along, this would be just stacked right on top of each other, which unfortunately for us, we can't literally get inside here. So the big question comes into how big do we make this? How big would this really be if this was an actual vehicle? Um, so I've kind of been wrestling with this a little bit, and I kind of cheated a little bit, and I'll let you know here in a minute how I cheated. Um, and it's interesting to see all this stuff, just how it is and how it was. Um, and then our imaginations just go wild and have all the fun with it. So let's see. Now it's starting to have problems trying to load everything up as we go through the parts and so on and so forth. All the different missiles. I will admit I left this as to really having just one missile, one type of missile. Um, and I didn't add in these side guns here, so I do apologize. We have three different side guns. I did not add those in here. Four different side guns. I just have the guns in the front. So, with that being said, I do apologize. We can change that a little bit. We can kind of do a little uh, cut and paste and so on and so forth. Okay, so trying to get here for the easily lost or broken pieces. We have the red missiles, the black searchlights, the black machine guns, the crane mount, chairs, engine room hoses. Um, there's an engine in there that could get lost, nozzles, tactical board, jail cell, radar assembly, missile launcher bases, and missile launcher attachments are all small and unfortunately easily lost. Looking at the mobile command center, it was featured in our Nintendo game, which I really don't remember. I know I've said that a couple different times as we've gone through some of this stuff. So it looks like it's here at an end. Now this looks like the Defiant, not the. Yeah, that looks like the Defiant outside of the general base here. Oh yeah, the here's the here's the mobile base. That's the Defiant launch, all that. Okay, and we have a cartoon or a commercial uh, spot right there. Now we do have different variations here. So in 1987, we have our main one. We do have a slightly redone version in 2003, and then the ROCC, which is a whole different type of base here in 2005. And when this first released, it was only about $35. So it's very interesting to see, and that was still a lot of money back then. So, I mean, as much as we might look at it and say, well, that was fairly cheap for such a wonderfully cool vehicle here, that was fairly expensive for the time. Okay, so now I do admit I did not have the extra guns, so we'll get those extra guns in here real fast, and we're just gonna kind of go from that point, and then we'll change things up a little bit as well. So um, let me get this piece in here. All right. So as we look things over, there we are. Um, I have this at Walker scale, and I did cheat, and I'm admitting this right here. So I took the length based off of the uh, Jawa Sandcrawler. Okay, uh, mainly because I wanted a frame of reference, bringing it into our Star Wars galaxy. Okay, um, not knowing how big this should be or whatever else, so that gave me some references here. And I gave it a crew of 40. Now the Jawa was a different size here. Um, I think they had like 60 people on there, like 140 passengers or so on and so forth, most of them being droids. You know, trying to figure out where this should sit in here. So I gave it a crew of 40. We can have up to 100 people, saying it's a fairly large vehicle. It's 120 meters long, 3 floors easily. Um, Full coverage here. It is ground level. I gave it a little bit better than what the Jawa Sandcrawler was. I have a 1D plus 1. The Sandcrawler is only at 1D, so I did make it a little bit better than that, but I did give it the same speed. This is going to be a slow, lumbering vehicle. With everything in here, I figured it's not going to be as fast as a lot of our other vehicles. So, with that being said, it just is what it is. Now, I did give it a higher body strength than what the Jawa Walker or Jawa Crawler is. That's only a 3D. So, this being a military vehicle, figuring you're expecting to have someone shooting at you, needing to defend yourself, and all that, we do have a body strength of 6D. Now, this is where we're going to start changing things. We have two twin heavy blasters, which are in the front here. So originally I had this at personnel scale. We're going to change things up here. We're going to make that Walker scale. And I'm doing this mainly because I figured um, if we're going to have personnel scale weapons below here, and that means I got to change the damage. Uh, Looking at it in this regards, I think we really need to have um, heavier cannons in the front. So that's why I'm doing this. Now, one of the cannons or one of the missiles it talked about, they call them shockwave missiles. So each launcher is roughly a 4 missile launcher. So I figured, you know what, we're going to have 3 shockwave missile launchers here. That's what we'll just call them. We have one in the turret on the top, one in the front, and one in the turret in the rear. So we'll just word it that way. We have 3 of them. I'm not going to try and limit it to say this is an anti-ground, anti-air. We're just going to have them as just a little bit more generic, but you can defend yourself in either aspect. Okay. Now, with the radar dish and in our schematics, it does talk about having the upgraded sensor system and everything else for trying to actively target other craft or whatever. So I'm going to leave the fire control at 4D. Damage is at 7D for our missiles, 4D for our twin blaster cannons. Now, when we come to our blasters, um, we're going to change this. This is going to be here. First of all, we're going to take that down to a 7. So this comes from a twin. How to really say this here? Instead of being twin heavy blasters, these are going to be twin. Um, let's see, light repeating. All right. And I'm going to take the twin out of there. All right, so these are going to be 4 repeating blasters, and hopefully I've got this spelled right. And if I don't, I apologize. They're going to be at personnel scale fire control, though. This is not going to be. This is just going to be on the characters themselves. Okay, so we got to change our arc. Trying to think of how this should be worded up here. So I'm trying to corner. We'll put it as corner. COR. I don't know if I have that spelt right or not. I think I'm missing an R looking at it. Um, Swivel mounts. Okay. Oops. I know I have an extra M in there I don't need. Okay. So again, I have bad spelling, so please bear with me on this. They're going to be personnel, and we definitely aren't going to have that range here. So we're going to have, and this is the whole thing. I haven't been paying as much attention to the range. Okay, so we want about 30 to 300 meters. And then we're going to go 600 meters. And then we're going to go out about 1 kilometer. So there, that changes that up a little bit. The heavy blasters, I think that should probably get changed a little bit. Let's see, 100 to 1 km. And then I'm going to put this at about 3. And then last of all, I think we're going to go maybe 5 kilometers. So that is a pretty good range there, but that's the heavy blasters compared to our missiles having a longer range. Okay. Uh, I think that kind of gives us a good feel of this. So we do have anti-personnel swivel mounted cannons that are on the top. So I think that kind of helps for our anti-infantry support. We do have some bigger cannons in the front here to go up against other tanks or other big vehicles. And then we do have 3 missile launcher systems to help defend as well. So I think that really encompasses things. I think that gives us the nice feel of it. We do have a fairly good sized cargo capacity of 40 metric tons. That really is the same as what a Jawa sandcrawler would be. I know it's kind of cheating in a way, but on the other hand, not without having any good reference to say what should or shouldn't be there. Maybe it should be upped, maybe it shouldn't. I don't know. If, like I always say, if this doesn't work for you, by all means, feel free to change it and make it work in your own system. But I think this kind of gives us a good range um, of being able to give it the proper feel of what it is and the proper scale of what it maybe should be. Um, because obviously, if you have something like this out there, in a lot of regards, I think it's really going to become a big target. But on the other hand, it is something to have out there as a mobile base. And really, this would work so very well in our kind of universe here because now, whether you're saying you're part of like during the Clone Wars, a Jedi general's army, and you need a mobile base. This is your mobile base. If this would be well after the fall of the Empire, um, somewhere along the lines of exploring out or something like that, and you need a mobile system or whatever. You're dropped here, explore the planet or whatever. This again would work. Even if you're doing a reverse technology and you're making something, this gives an opportunity to say, maybe we want this to be able to go onto the moon, or maybe this is something for however we want to design our planet. Because just because we're seeing it's an Earth type planet doesn't mean it has to necessarily be the exact same as what Earth is today. It could be different. Maybe we have more rivers. Maybe there's more desert area. Maybe this is something that you want GI Joe to use down in Australia or something like that. Um, maybe Antarctica. You know, it gives different opportunities and different ideas to throw out there. So just kind of keeping it as a fluid. How do you want your campaign to run? And there's always plenty of different ways of doing it. Now, something this big, I don't know exactly how you're going to get it over to there outside of on a boat, but that's still a possibility too. So, with that being said, thanks for visiting. It's always wonderful having you watch the videos and spending the time with me. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video.